a deal. What's it to Mark Carney? Nope.
China's ambassador to Canada saying canola tariffs will be dropped if Canada drops its tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles.
So if Canada removes the unilateral unjustified tariffs on Chinese products, China will also reciprocate accordingly. And if the EV tariffs are removed, then China will also remove the tariffs on the relevant products of Canada.
According to Bloomberg, China has imposed a preliminary 75.8% anti-dumping duty on Canadian canola seed imports, effective August 14, 2025, after a trade probe found unfair price practices. Just a year ago, Canada struck first, enforcing a 100% tariff on all Chinese-made electric vehicles. Now the retaliation has begun. Farmers are panicking, automakers are bleeding, and the nation faces a question that could define its economic future. Did Canada's bold trade gamble just backfire? Help us reach 1,000 subscribers and complete today's 500-like challenge. The fallout from China's 75.8% canola tariff has shaken Canada's trade confidence. Bloomberg reports that this punitive move follows Ottawa's 2024 decision to impose a 100% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles, designed to protect local automakers. But the consequences have spread far beyond the auto sector. Beijing's retaliation is hitting the Canadian prairies hard, devastating an export industry worth over $5 billion Canadian dollars annually. It's no longer just a tariff war. It's a test of political leadership, economic strategy, and national unity. In August 2024, Ottawa announced a sweeping 100% tariff on all Chinese EVs, plus 25% on Chinese steel and aluminum, claiming unfair subsidies were distorting competition. At the time, the move was celebrated as bold and decisive. Officials said it would buy time for Canada's automakers to modernize and compete globally. But trade wars rarely stop at the first strike, and China's counterpunch came faster than anyone expected. In August 2025, Beijing responded with surgical precision, a 75.8% anti-dumping duty on Canadian canola seeds. China's Commerce Ministry accused Canadian exporters of dumping subsidized crops, an allegation Canadian officials deny. The Canola Council of Canada called the move devastating and politically motivated. Before the tariffs, Canada exported roughly $5 billion Canadian dollars in canola products to China annually, mostly seed. But within days of the announcement, ICE rapeseed futures plunged 6.5%, according to Bloomberg. Buyers canceled contracts, storage facilities filled up, and farmers faced the terrifying prospect of an unsellable harvest. This retaliation, designed to pressure Ottawa, instead exposed how interdependent both nations' economies had become. The backlash was immediate. Prime Minister Mark Carney, who took office in early 2025, told reporters he would personally engage to resolve the canola dispute with China. Meanwhile, Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe and Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew urged the federal government to end the 100% EV tariffs in exchange for China lifting agricultural duties. Trade Minister Maninder Sidhu and Agriculture Minister Heath MacDonald confirmed that the tariff policy is under active review. Bloomberg further reported that Canada is ready to engage with Beijing to diffuse tensions, a clear shift from Ottawa's earlier hardline stance. Behind closed doors, cabinet officials debated a compromise, easing EV tariffs in return for Chinese automaker investments in Canada. The goal: turn confrontation into cooperation. While the trade fight raged, Canada's EV sector began to crack. With Chinese imports blocked, the domestic market lost its cheapest models, driving prices up and adoption rates down. By mid-2025, national EV sales had fallen nearly 40% year over year, according to Canadian Auto Dealer. Government rebate programs were cut or paused as budgets tightened. In British Columbia, provincial incentives were scrapped. Quebec barely maintained its plan after public outrage. Instead of protecting the industry, the tariffs created shortages and price inflation. Even automakers benefiting from protection began warning Ottawa that the policy had become an anchor dragging the entire sector backward. Labor unions in Ontario supported protection in principle, but feared that prolonged isolation would erode jobs rather than save them. Across the prairies, the crisis deepened. Farmers watched as their livelihoods evaporated overnight. Storage bins overflowed, debt levels spiked, and equipment loans fell into default. Local leaders accused Ottawa of sacrificing the countryside to save city factories. One farmer told Global News, "We don't need another subsidy, we just need our markets back." Meanwhile, in Toronto and Montreal, consumers complained about skyrocketing EV prices and shrinking options. The trade war had drawn a line across Canada's map: urban versus rural, factories versus fields. Public trust in the federal government began to crack under the strain. By late summer 2025, the government faced three choices: full rollback, remove the 100% EV tariff, reopen Chinese imports, and hope Beijing lifts its agricultural duties. Partial easing, reduce tariffs on certain electric vehicle categories while keeping protections for domestic automakers. Strategic leverage, offer tariff relief only if Chinese automakers build factories or battery facilities inside Canada. Trade Minister Sidhu called the third option balanced and realistic. Carney's office emphasized that any change would be conditional on long-term Canadian jobs and investment. Bloomberg later confirmed that Ottawa is exploring joint venture frameworks with Asian automakers as part of a broader diversification plan, targeting Japan, South Korea, and the EU for trade expansion. As Canada's standoff with China escalated, Washington quietly entered the fray. Reports from AP News noted that China's retaliatory measures extended beyond canola to peas, rapeseed oil, and other Canadian farm exports, intensifying pressure on Ottawa. In response, U.S. officials expressed concern that Canada's actions might destabilize North American trade flows. President Trump, campaigning for re-election, reignited rhetoric claiming Canada depends on America more than it admits. The statement went viral, fueling anti-U.S. sentiment across Canadian social media. Soon, a quiet boycott began. Canadians canceled vacations to Florida and New York. Cross-border shopping declined. By July 2025, U.S. tourism operators near the Great Lakes reported visitor numbers down by roughly 30% year-on-year. Global News Regional Report. The economic pain once intended for China was now spreading to the United States, a boomerang effect of modern protectionism. China's tariff on Canadian canola is 75.8%. Canada's export value, 2024, approximately 5 billion Canadian dollars. Drop in rapeseed futures, minus 6.5%. Decline in EV sales, minus 39% year over year. Federal EV support fund, 5 billion Canadian dollars. Tourism decline, Canada to US, approximately 30%. Canada now stands at a crossroads between pride and pragmatism. Holding firm may protect political pride, but it risks further economic collapse. Easing tariffs could restore markets, stabilize the auto sector, and rebuild trust, if handled strategically. As Prime Minister Carney faces mounting pressure, the next decisions will shape Canada's trade identity for a generation. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss that update. And tell us below, should Canada lift the 100% EV tariff now, or wait until Beijing backs down first?